Hi, it's Pam Raglan. I'm doing a video that I hoped that I would never have to do, and that's to tell you about a whole set of corruption and fraud and things that have happened in mortgage loans and in the bank that I uncovered through my own journey, and to have to educate you because I've come to realize that there's no possible way that the banks are actually going to come around and do what they should. So first, I'm going to start with my story. Back in 2008, I requested a loan modification because my loan adjusted up a considerable amount, and I was supposed to have a fixed rate loan. Upon investigating the whole thing around my loan, I discovered that my loan was actually forged and that my fixed rate loan had been swapped into a variable rate loan. And it was a variable rate loan with a really high adjustment. So when I reported this to what is now U.S. Bank, and previously was Downey Savings, they told me that, oh my gosh, your loan is forged. Oh yeah, you told us, but I can see we didn't really do anything. Oh, we're going to have to investigate. And while we're investigating, don't pay your payment because we can't modify it, unless if you've paid your payment, and don't pay your payment. And they sent one of my checks back. And actually they sent about 4 of my checks back, and they refused to take my money. And they supposedly investigated the forgery on my loan, knowing that I had hired a handwriting expert and come into the bank and shown them that there were more than a dozen forgeries on my loan. And this is going to lead to some stuff I'm going to share with you at the end, because there are some things that you're going to want to do, okay? And that if you have a home that is either in foreclosure, has been foreclosed on, or you even have a loan that you're not exactly positive of what you have, or you have friends, or you have family, you're going to want to listen to this because there may be something that you can do about it. So supposedly they investigated my loan, and instead, my forged loan, and instead they put my home into foreclosure. And I had to get an attorney, and we got a restraining order, and instead they sold my home under the restraining order. And when my attorney called them and said, you're not allowed to do that, there was a restraining order, they said, I know. And at that moment, I knew that they had done it before and they would do it again. And when U.S. Bank, and it wasn't Downey, it was U.S. Bank, sold my home, and they did it knowingly under the restraining order, I then notified vice presidents of the bank, and I told them this is what happened. And I said, if you don't take care of it, I'm going to sue, because I owned this home for 19 years. It's the only home that my kids have ever known. My home was not upside down. They sold it for $200,000 under the depressed market value, which had gone down considerably since they told me not to pay my payment. And they did it to somebody that was, we suspect, it was fixed. To us, there was a single bidder for a home that was $200,000 under market value. And they were trying to evict me on Christmas Eve, and I'm a single mom with 2 kids, trying to evict me from a home that they didn't even have the right to sell. And when my attorney called and said, you didn't have a right to sell this house, and they said, I know, I was like, oh my gosh, they've done this before, they'll do it again. And when I spoke to the vice president and explained all of this, he said, oh, come on now, you don't want to sue. You don't want to go through all that time and expense. Well, I mean to tell you, I did sue. And although I lost at various points, on September 11th, 2012, I won my appeal in the California Appeals Court. And I finally won the right, after 4 years, to sue U.S. Bank. I won the right. Not only that, I was given different causes of action that include punitive damages, emotional distress damages, the fact that the justices found that there was indeed a restraining order, because they had been trying to say there really wasn't a restraining order, it was a contingent restraining order, which there's no such thing. And the justices ruled on it anyway. Now, this might seem like a great victory. And in fact, I want to say, you know what, I'm really proud, because I've already heard of cases. This case was published. That means that it set a precedent. I've already heard of people that haven't lost their homes because of Raglan versus U.S. Bank. And that thrills me to no end. But the problem is the fight isn't over. Because even though U.S. Bank knows that they were wrong, even though they understand that when they displaced me from my home, that being a single mom with 2 kids, not only did it displace me, it displaced my 71-year-old live-in nanny, who is more like a grandma to my kids, that it set my son into emotional turmoil, that he began gaining weight, having trouble in school, a lot of trouble in school, angry outbursts saying that home base was gone, that home base had been destroyed. Literally, he said that. He said that it was the battle between the dark and the light, and that the dark had destroyed home base. And it just made me cry because I was unable to protect my child. And at the age of 7, he was saying that he wanted to die and commit suicide because his world had been so turned upside down. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. Not only was his stable home turned upside down, and my daughter also, but she was a little bit older, so she weathered it a teeny bit better than him. He was 6 at the time, and then he turned 7, a few months after. But, things like our family pets were buried in the backyard. We expected to always own that home. So here's the thing. U.S. Bank came back and said, okay, you know what, we'll settle with you. But then they decided to really jack me around and offer me pure pennies on the dollar that don't even cover my legal fees. So at this point, I'm asking for the public's help. And I first want to let you know what you can do, though, on your own loan. Okay, so at the end, I'm going to tell you all about the help that I'm asking for, and I'm hoping that you're going to join with me in telling these banks that their behavior is not okay. I'm merely a symbol of all the other people that they've done this to, and this whole area of fraud, a lot of people don't even know about. So now let me tell you what you can do. If your home is in foreclosure, if you're not positive of the loan that you have, if you've lost your home, what you should do is contact the bank and ask to see your loan file. Because what I discovered is when I looked at my loan file, there were documents that I had never even received from escrow. Because a lot of escrow companies have been in on this fraud. When I looked at my own loan packet with a handwriting expert, but start out just looking at your packet yourself. You don't have to get the handwriting expert yet. You first inspect your packet. And when you do that, you want to look for anything that looks unusual. For example, in my loan packet, not only were there more than a dozen forgeries, and this has been verified by my handwriting expert, who's an expert witness in this area for many police departments, but there were several documents that there was more than one version of the document and more than one signature. So while they tried to say, oh, you know what, that was a freehand forgery. That was so good we couldn't tell. That's BS. Because they could certainly tell that there was more than one document that had 2 different versions of it, including things like the loan application. So they didn't even check my packet. And why would they? Because they were taking these loans and bundling them up and selling them to foreign investors, and they weren't really going to incur the risk, so they didn't really care. They didn't really care that they had taken my loan that was supposed to be a fixed rate loan. It was a refi, it wasn't a home purchase, and swapped it into something that wasn't even a loan that I knew I was getting. They didn't care. Okay? So all these people have been affected. When I called the bank and said that my loan had been forged, they said, oh, we're getting hundreds of calls a day from people who say they didn't know they had that kind of loan. Now, I guarantee you, a percentage of those loans are forged. So you should look at your loan packet, because here's the thing. The forgery statute of limitations doesn't start until you discover the forgery. So until you've actually verified that you have a forgery, then from then you have a period of time, and it varies by state to state, that you can go back and sue. And your entire mortgage may be null and void because of these forgeries. Not only that, because forgery is fraud, it carries punitive damages, which are meant to punish the company for fraud. And you know what? That's something that really should happen. So I'm just going to really encourage you to go and take a look at your loan packet and find out what's there. Now, here's how I would love your help. I would love it. There's 3 things I'm going to ask you to do at the end. Okay? One is I have a change.org petition, and just to stand with me and let U.S. Bank know that their behavior is not okay. That although they have knowingly and repeatedly understood that my home was sold illegally, that the foreclosure was wrong and wrongful, and how they have affected me and my family, they have continued to this day to drag their feet and decide that they don't really want to do the right thing. Their little measly offer that's pennies on the dollar doesn't even cover the lost equity in my home that was sold out. Okay? So, is that okay with me? No. Like, that's what made me finally so just disgusted with them that I decided that even though it's embarrassing to say that I lost my home, that I'm going to have to go public with this because it's not right. It's not right what they're doing to people. It's not right. The second thing is, if there's any way you can do it, I set up a campaign to try to raise funds toward the next step of this legal battle. And you know what? Even if you can give $1, what that shows is that you're standing with me and helping me to set more precedents so that other people can be saved by the work that is happening, that I'm doing, that I'm leading the way. I know a lot of people can't spend all this time and all this money that I have. And anything that's extra on top of my own legal funds is going to go into a pool that I'm setting up to help other people just like you or your friends or your family or your neighbors to be able to take certain cases that need to be fought and fight the banks. So I hope that you're going to stand with me in really showing these banks that their behavior is not okay. You know, they single-handedly brought down our economy by their greedy choices and their fraud. And there's fraud on several different fronts. Make no mistake about it. You know, at first when I told a few people about this case, they didn't believe me. But I think that enough time has gone by now that people are really, really seeing things for their true colors. And I've attached a copy to this page, and the page that I'll refer you to at the end of this video. I've attached a copy of the decision by the justices so that you can take a look for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look for yourself. What it says is that the decision which went against me is reversed, and the decision for U.S. Bank is reversed, which means that it's back in my favor, okay? And it tells you a lot of other things that are in there about the details of the case. So I hope that you'll take a look at that if you're so inclined. The third thing is, if you're a member of the media, I really think that you're going to do a huge service to people by helping to break this story. So whoever is the first, national media person that contacts me, I want to talk to you. You'll be hearing from me also proactively, but I just want to let you know I'm referring you to this video so you can find out a little bit more about the case, and I'll give somebody an exclusive, whoever is the first one that breaks it nationally. So again, I hope that you will join with me. I hope that you will at least sign the change.org petition. If you can, I hope that you'll give something to help fight these banks, even if it's $1. And I really hope that, above all, you'll send a message to these banks that their behavior is not okay, and that it's not okay to knowingly perpetuate fraud and cheat people out of their homes. I mean, someone's house is their home. And it's not okay that they callously and coldly have illegally foreclosed on people's homes, and then they callously and coldly respond by, whatever, we don't really want to pay you anything. We don't really think that we should even cover your damages, so sorry. We think that you're a single mom with 2 kids and you're not going to really do anything. We don't really believe that you're going to make enough of a stink. I hope that you will show them that they're wrong. Thank you.